So this week, a dear friend of mine sent me the Onbeing podcast where Krista Tippet interviews John O'Donoghue, one of our treasures in Ireland, or worldwide maybe. And in the interview, Krista asks John a really lovely question. She asks him, when you think of beauty, what comes to mind? And so, just passing that on to you today, when you think of beauty, what comes to mind? I noticed yesterday that the landscape outside my house was the first thing to pop into my mind. And when you notice whatever it is that you notice, can there simply be a moment to be with it and appreciate it and really drink it in? So in this practice, just continuing with the idea of our channels of perception, in organic intelligence, we talk about the isoma channels. And so isoma stands for image, sensation, orientation, meaning, and affect. And in this practice, we'll be exploring the image channel. But of course, starting with orientation. And orientation, perhaps you'd like to join me in this now. Orientation is simply letting the eyes go where they want to go. Wherever you are, simply letting the eyes go where they want to go. Noticing what you notice. And in this practice, I thought it might be useful to just to name something that can kind of I guess interject in our day in general, but especially in a mindfulness or a meditation practice. And you could call that the inner critic or the negativity bias. My teacher Steve refers to it as the what's wrong attention. And when we start practices, like a sort of conscious practice of things like orientation, we might notice that popping to our attention quite quickly, because orientation is almost like a capacity to be in the present moment that we cultivate through practice. And so that capacity might be a couple of seconds in the beginning, and it might be longer. So just noticing that, noticing where your capacity is with that. And, when that sort of inner critic or what's wrong attention arises, simply, it's a little bit like just turning the attention in another direction, because actually what your intention is with this time where you are is orientation. So we can simply benign neglect that which is not orientation, for example. Finding your own way with that, perhaps. And so again, returning to orientation. seeing what you see when you see what you see. And as you spend some time in orientation, I'll just explain to you the practice we'll do today. So we begin in orientation, noticing what we notice in the environment, letting our attention be on a particular object, and if possible, bringing that object closer to us, because what we're going to do is work with that as an image with closed eyes. So bringing the object close to you, bringing the attention onto the object, closing the eyes and noticing how the resonance of the object is received in our senses with the eyes closed. And this can be something that's quite helpful to practice if you find visualization difficult. Sometimes clients report difficulties with visualizing, or sometimes people just say that they're not very imaginative, which I refuse to believe. It's something that we can train. Essentially, it's something that we can train. So simply being in orientation now for a moment. Letting the eyes land on a particular object. Bringing the object closer to you, if that's possible. Maybe just choose an object that's not like a huge mirror or something that's difficult to bring close to you. Sitting down, looking at the object, taking some time to notice its shape and form and colour, closing the eyes and noticing what remains of the object in your image channel. And this might be something that you could just speak aloud. What is it that you notice? The colour, the shape. Opening the eyes again. Drinking in the image, drinking in the object for a few seconds. And closing the eyes. Noticing what you notice there. And you might notice some details that didn't remain with you the first time round. Opening the eyes again. Seeing what you see of the object. Excuse me. And closing the eyes again. And just noticing what's in there. Does the object seem to take more realistic form? Does your association with the light of the object change the shape? What is it that you can notice now? And when you're ready, returning to orientating to the environment, letting the eyes go where they want to go. And noticing how it is that the environment engages with your senses. Feeling free to pop anything that you found useful about the practice in the comments. Thank you for joining me.